Thomson Reuters. And so I'm also the founder of Lex Projex that we'll talk about in a minute. Sensei Project Solutions is a Microsoft Gold partner, and it was the Microsoft Partner of the Year this year. They put together value-added reseller solutions that stack on top of the Microsoft project environment. They have clients worldwide that they assist with project management using the Microsoft solutions. And they have been around for a long time and are one of Microsoft's premier providers. Lex Projex is my company that I work on when I'm not practicing law as a commercial litigator or as a professional arbitrator and mediator. Lex Projex transforms legal process to enhance legal value. And the way that we do that is we build pre-configured work breakdown structures for different types of legal matters that can then be plugged into the Microsoft environment for people that don't know how to do that. The way that that interacts between a Microsoft Sensei and Lex Projex is that Project is the platform. So we work in the Microsoft Project environment principally through Microsoft Project Online, but now, as you'll see, through Microsoft Project for the Web, which was just released the day before yesterday. And Sensei is a value-added reseller that brings new solutions to Microsoft Project, and Lex Projex assists in the legal vertical market by bringing work breakdown structures and templates to the Sensei environment itself. Now, the key thing to know here about Microsoft Project for the Web is it is now a web-based as opposed to a desktop solution. So you can have this flexible and intuitive project management environment in the web itself. This is a new experience from people that aren't used to dealing with Microsoft Project other than in a desktop application that you download and put on your laptop or a normal computer on the desk. It's a collaborative environment which allows you to bring in people not only from your own organization, but from other organizations into a project team and then track and monitor their activities. It is part of the Microsoft 365 environment, and therefore it thrives and can be run through the Microsoft Teams environment for conversations, documents, and tasks so that you can have collaborative teams from different places, both inside and outside of your law firm or your in-house legal department. And you can add members to your vendors, your outside document review teams, your outside legal counsel, your outside experts. You can all put together projects where each of them are contributing their respective tasks, and it's all being tracked and monitored through Project on the web. And this also allows for worldwide reporting with Microsoft's Business Intelligence Content Pack, which is Power BI is Microsoft's business and data analytics solution. So the key here to know is where does the new Project for the Web fit into the big picture? So Microsoft has always had the Project Online flagship solution, which is shown here in the right upper quadrant. This is a robust, full body project solution, but truthfully, it's not an easy one to use. I'm a legal technologist in addition to being a practicing lawyer. I have hundreds of hours built into learning how to work Microsoft Project Online, and it's not easy to learn unless you're using it every day, often and frequently. And most lawyers and even most legal project managers are not there yet. On the other hand, at the far extreme, you have the simple information worker with Microsoft Planner. But that is the tricycle, if you will, in the sporting side of project management. So a Project Online was the equivalent of a racing motorcycle, and Planner was the tricycle. Project for the Web right now is coming into a more friendly environment, a more user-friendly graphic user interface for informal project managers like paralegals, associate lawyers, and some vendors. Initially, right now, its functionality is somewhat limited, but that is subject to change. And so what's going to happen over time is that even though the current release of Project for the Web is somewhere in the middle, it will migrate over time to have more of the functionality of Project Online. So with that, Steve.
Very quickly orient you to Project for the Web. Mark has a little more discussion on the eDiscovery legal project management approach, and then I hope to have time left to give you an actual demo. But Project for the Web is a web-based tool, but the beauty of it is it's flexible. You can pick the method that's going to work best for you. So in the background, you can see we have board views, and we can move our work through the identification, preservation, collection processes. You can use it in a more robust grid view, and you can view it on a timeline view, and all of these are interactive, and all of these support co-authoring. So if you're working with multiple people, all of this work can work simultaneously, and you can develop this in a cooperative co-authoring mode. And we can then share information across it, we can package it, and we can track all of the files, the documents, again, material that Mark talked about in his introduction. And then finally, as he said, is we have reporting. So now we have robust reports, so we can focus on the work by the resource, we can focus on the work by the tasks, and you can get a complete view in a very intuitive, web-based, user-friendly environment. And I think that should be the success factor, or the key factor, to help implement this into organizations that are legal professionals and not project management professionals.
A simple legal project management life cycle. This is what I use when I teach project management in continuing legal education courses to lawyers and whatnot. So I'm not going to spend any time on this because I'm going to assume that all of you are familiar with the emerging field of legal project management that's really come down in the last decade. What I want to focus on right now is a hypothetical case. And here's what I want for you to assume, that there is a lawsuit that has been brought, and the complaint for damages is against some realtors, and the realtors represented the sellers of the home, and the buyers of the home have now filed a lawsuit against the sellers and against the realtors, which includes both the real estate broker and the real estate agent and their respective brokerage entity. And the broker, or the agents in this case, were dual agents. That means they represented both the buyers and the sellers in the transaction. What I want you to assume is this, is that the buyers were out-of-state buyers who never had a chance to look at the property. They were buying sight unseen. And what they did is they looked at the property as it was displayed through the web portal of the brokers, but the brokers uploaded the wrong photos of the wrong house up to the site, so that when the buyers arrived in town to move into their house, the house that they had purchased and closed was not the one that was reflected in the photograph. So they've now brought a lawsuit, and they're suing the broker, the agent, and the brokerage entity. And the ESI, or electronically stored information custodians, consists primarily of the broker, the agent, and the webmaster. So we've got to collect data from those three persons right there. We're going to be using what everybody knows now in the eDiscovery environment is the electronic discovery reference model. So ignore the one on the far left, information governance, and the far right on presentation, where the real action usually takes place in eDiscovery is going to be in the middle area there. So we've actually got to go through identifying who has information, preserving it so it's not spoliation of evidence. We then have to collect the electronic data, process it, review it, analyze it, and produce it. So the key thing here that I want to mention is what is really happening right now in the 21st century, and in particular in this decade, is the movement toward cloud-based collaboration of legal projects, where it's not just one lawyer or one law firm that is acting in isolation, but that we are bringing in the various team members, the eDiscovery vendors, the outside document review attorneys, the outside consultants, co-counsel in different cities, conferring with in-house counsel at different locations. So this collaboration effort requires that there be some ability to bring everybody into a collaborative platform. And what that looks like, and the value that it has, is it eliminates two different things altogether. The first one is it eliminates unnecessary meetings that deal solely with process issues like, did we file what we said we were going to file? Did we upload this collection for processing? What's the status? If you're tracking and monitoring these things using any kind of project management tool, including Project for the Web or Project Online, you can just confer 24/7 on your mobile devices to see what the status is. also you eliminate the bane of every lawyer's existence, namely emails. When you move the functions of task management to platforms rather than email, it reduces your unnecessary load of that. So the way to think about it is this: you've got this collaboration of all these lawyers. Some of them are in-house, some are outside counsel, some are document review attorneys that you've recruited on a contract basis, et cetera. And they are going to collaborate in a project environment, and they're going to be working on different matters. Maybe somebody's doing a commercial real estate transaction, or a business contract litigation, or a matter pending before a government agency like the EEOC, or some other type of business transaction in an M&A matter. Different teams of lawyers are going to be finding a collaborative platform in the cloud. Some of these things you can turn on and off in terms of overhead requirements, but what you need in any case is somebody that's tracking and monitoring this as the project manager. Now here, my company, which does contract project management, could be anybody. It could be the person you designate in-house to track and monitor your projects. It could be the project management office of a law firm or in-house counsel, or even of an eDiscovery or document review vendor. The point is, you've got somebody who's command central that's tracking and monitoring the tasks and activities assigned to the different lawyer resources. And that includes not only resources that are inside of in-house departments or law firms, but it also includes the outside vendors who are going to be involved as well. So this is what the power of online collaborative project management brings, and why Microsoft is making the push for this right now through Project for the Web, that is bringing a simpler graphic user interface and portal to manage these types and kinds of activities. So with that, Steve, I'm going to go back to you and change presentations to you, Steve.
So here we are in Project for the Web, or actually this is the front door for Project for the Web. This is Project Home. And the beauty of Project Home is it is your personal space for all of the projects that you're interested in. So you can create your own favorites, the ones that are highly important to you. We can look at roadmaps. Roadmaps provide a very visual way for you to consolidate and report to your executives, to your sponsors, to your customers, key information on projects. So you can pick specific elements. It's not the entire project, but it's the things that people care about the most, the things the stakeholders care about the most, and you can categorize them. This one's green, so it's on track. This one's yellow, so it is at risk. And this one is red, so it is extreme or at high risk. And then we can put high-level key dates across our milestone to give us that high-level visual representation of the health of the work. But more specifically, our focus today is on the Project for the Web. So let's go into our specific Project for the Web, which is eDiscovery for LPM. Now this is a preloaded eDiscovery project that we have prepared for this presentation, but I'll walk you through in just a few moments how simple it is to get there. We have three representations: the detailed grid view, the one I believe will be more relevant or of more interest to the legal profession is the board, and in just a moment we'll look at the timeline. In the board view, we have the ability to look at our project in three ways. We can group by bucket, by progress, which is where we're at right now, or by finish date. I think the by bucket, again, will have the most relevance to the legal profession, and we have already defined buckets based on the eDiscovery lifecycle that Mark presented earlier. So we have an identification bucket, a preservation bucket, a collection, a processing, a review and analysis, and a production bucket. And we can add other buckets on an as-needed basis, as simple as that. In this particular scenario, we have a few tasks that have yet been assigned to the bucket. To take this particular task from the to-do column and say it is part of preservation, it's as simple as dragging it over and putting it here at the top. We can take this ESI from Client Real Estate Agent and add it to the collection, and this gives you full ability inside your eDiscovery project to track the work that's going on based on bucket.
And what I like about this from a somebody inside of a law firm like a paralegal or a project manager is notice that this is really a Kanban board. You guys have heard of Kanban or Kanban. What it allows you to do is simply drop and drag each of these squares as though it was a recipe card on a 3x5 card. And when you move from the to-do static role and you put it into a particular environment, you simply drop and drag those, for example, 4 cards on the left, you could scoot them into whatever the appropriate thing is.
To track it by progress, here we have a bunch of tasks that have not been started across multiple buckets. We have some tasks that's in progress and the tasks that are completed. And you can see by this red date, it's already telling us, hey, Steve, we're late. This project should have been done on October the 29th, and it's late. Maybe we need to get it into progress, so we drag it over here and make sure our people are working on it. This guy is all done. Finally, he's a little bit late, but finally he's done. Marking it as complete is as simple as ticking on the tick box there, and it automatically moved it out of the in progress bucket over to the completed bucket. Conversely, if we simply wanted to take and drag it over to the completed bucket, it will mark it as complete in the same process. And if you really want to track the project, you can move to group by finish date. Here are the tasks that are late, the tasks that we should be working on tomorrow, the tasks we should be working on this week, and the future tasks. The timeline view, I think, will be very interesting to folks in the legal profession. Now, my timeline is very flat because I simply put everything in as a 1-day duration to get started. But as we're working on the task and we're going to conduct the first pass review, and we say, well, that's going to take much more than a day, we simply can grab a hold of it and drag it out and make it a little bit longer. And it also moves out all of the downstream tasks. We can say this task of prepare the production set is going to depend on both this task and that one. So we simply drag and drop and we can create new dependencies. So we have very powerful functionality here to track the work. And completing work is as simple as in our last view. We simply click on this little tick box and it's going to mark that task as complete. And let's say this guy is complete as well. The third view, as already represented, is the grid view, and it may be a view that will be powerful to you when you want to see more information. Who's it assigned to? What's the duration? What are the dependencies? What's the start date? What's the finish date? And we can even add in more columns and look at the effort, the percent complete, or the bucket, since that, I believe, is going to be a very grave interest to you folks. And we can now understand what's going on. So that's how easy it is to manage projects. But let me show you how easy it is to get started. So I'm going to go back here to my home page, and I'm going to say, I'm going to create a new blank project. And I don't even have to give it a name. I can say, I love the board view, and I'm simply going to go in here and start to work. I like my bucket view. And I'm going to be very imaginative. Say I have bucket 1. And I have bucket 2. And we simply say I have a task for task 1. I can produce a finish date. I can assign it to, or I can simply say add a task, add another task, task 2. Let's put a couple of tasks into bucket 2, task B1, and task B2 as an example, and we're going to say, oh, this guy belongs over here, and drag it over. And that's how easy it is to create projects. You want to look at it in the timeline view. We move over to the timeline view. We can begin to put in the duration, because I think this is a very easy way to add the durations here. That one's going to take quite a bit longer. And we can start to create the dependencies. When this guy's done, we can start that guy, and we can start that guy. But this last guy can't start until task number 2 has been completed. So we can create our dependencies. And if you want more information, we can go to the grid view and look at the assignment or any extra columns we want to see. And finally, if we say, yeah, this is a great project, we give it a name. And the final thing I want to show you is getting the data out of Project for the Web and visible to your management, visible to your stakeholders, and letting all of your project stakeholders, your executives, your senior partners, see all of the information that you're maintaining in Project for the Web. Another Microsoft product called Power BI, and free downloadable content pack for Project for the Web. So now we're seeing all of the projects that are being delivered inside our organization. We have 26 projects going on in total. Track our projects by progress. So we have 17 in progress. We have 3 completed and 6 not started. We want to look at which of the projects that are not started. We click on an element of the chart and it cross filters and we see those 6 explicitly. I'm just going to go back to my entire project. We can look at the effort, and if we mouse over, it gives us more detail. Or we can look at specific projects by project manager, and we can do the same up here. So I'm Nick Trudeau. I'm going to say, what are the projects that I'm currently responsible for? And there's only one, eDiscovery for LPM, which is the one we just looked at. We can see the start dates, the finish dates. It's 41% complete across the entire project. I have 7 overdue tasks, 1 late task, 5 on-track tasks, and 24 tasks that have to happen in the future. We can look at our work across a project timeline portfolio. I'm going to expand this out because I'm going to take a larger management view. I can see all of the legal projects that are being delivered in my organization and see what their current status is based on today's date. I can look at project milestones and see what projects have completed what milestones in the last 30 days. What are the upcoming milestones that management will be tracking the progress on in the future. I can understand my resource capacity. So again, I can see overall, but I'm going to zero in again. I'm going to pick on myself and see what's going on in my world. So I can see I have 7 tasks that I'm working on. I can see I've got a little bit done, but I have a whole bunch more work to do. I can see which projects I'm responsible for, and I can even say, oops, I got a late task. I really need to get focused and get that done. I want a little more detail on what I'm working on. I can go to resource assignments, click on that. It gives me all of my resource assignments across all of the projects I'm responsible for, and I can drill in and understand what's going on. I can get an overall task overview, and I can see what all of the tasks are on our particular project, which is eDiscovery for LPM. And I can even drill in and see an explicit timeline for our project. So I know this has been fairly fast, but I want to give you that high-level overview of how simple and easy it is to maintain projects in Project for the Web. You create your buckets, you add your tasks, you can drag and drop, you can understand the progress, you can skip work started, you can take in progress work and move it over to completed and see everything flow naturally. You can track it by the finish date. You can look at it on a timeline view, and you can drill into more details, all in a very powerful, intuitive tool that doesn't require the level of effort that Mark expressed that it takes to get functional in traditional project management tools. It is designed to be used by the informal project manager who has many other things to do on their to-do list, and project management is just one of, and probably not their core responsibility.
By all means, reach out to us. We would be happy to do one-on-ones with you to give you a more detailed view. But the beauty of we have a tool, it's designed for people who want to work as professionals in their business area, not as professional project managers. And I think Microsoft has absolutely nailed it with this particular project to help you be a professional in law, but still put together the project structure that you need to drive that.
So I want to talk just briefly about this particular slide. Let's suppose that you're an attorney and you're in a law firm that has a dozen office locations in each of the major cities, and you're running the commercial litigation department. What's nice about the way that this is run is notice you're running and have an at-a-glance view of the status of what's going on across all of the cases in your office. And this will allow you to look and see, if you configure this slightly different, you can see, for example, if resources in your office, whether it's a paralegal, an associate, a junior partner, this allows you to see where they are in terms of resource management and allocation. In other words, how do you know if you have too much work and that you're going to start missing deadlines if you don't start outsourcing some of the activities such as document review to third parties? Are you going to get behind in the critical path? Are you coming up on a discovery deadline, but you can't get the depositions done because the documents haven't been reviewed? This kind of a platform will show you at a glance at a department level view the portfolio of all of the projects that are under your domain management and control. And this is all now done through a web-based environment. And this is where really law firm project management is going to be moving. It has to move, because the people that are going to succeed in the practice of law in the 21st century are, more than anything else, people that can control and manage their resources through a complete understanding of how allocated their resources are, whether they're over allocated or under allocated, or whether we need to move certain task activities and so forth from lawyer A to lawyer B because A is over worked, whereas B has margin in their schedule or whatever. So this is the power of what the project management tools that Microsoft offers can bring. And the value it has here is that it now has a simpler way in which to manage this on a per project basis using Project for the Web.
I'm happy to schedule some one-on-ones and help you dig deeper into this high-level material we presented to you today. Do we have any immediate questions in the chat area that we need to address, Liz, while we're waiting for that to come up?
No, we don't.
Okay. So again, please feel free to reach out to us, and we would be happy to dig a little deeper into this and help you better understand. And
Great. Thanks all.
Thank you, everyone.